Hello. What's poppin'?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the 405 Diaries, your go-to podcast for real talk on college and mental health.
We're your big sisters, Preston,
Lily,
Madison,
and Bella.
Last episode we discussed the importance of self-care and self-love and how to do that, some hobbies. We talked about our personal anecdotes and surrounding relationships in being in college.
So on our Instagram, also go follow us, the 405 Diaries on Instagram. We did a this or that quiz and we wanted to share some of our responses. So early morning classes versus late night classes, y'all chose early morning classes. Using a planner versus going with the flow, y'all chose using a planner. Study group or solo study, we chose solo study. Quiet library or loud coffee shop, quiet library. Journaling versus talking with friends, talking with friends. Setting boundaries or saying yes to everything, setting boundaries. Yep, set those boundaries. Art versus physical activities. Physical activities, we're getting outside, yes. Spa day versus outside with nature, spa day. Strict bedtime versus staying up late for me time. Staying up late for me time.
Felt.
Yeah, felt. Listen to music or reading a book. Listening to music.
That makes me so sad.
I'm sorry.
I love reading.
We love to listen to music over here.
I know. On today's episode, we're going to be pulling out of our little diaries some advice and personal anecdotes about finding your purpose while in college, even when mental health struggles in comparison to others make it difficult.
Many students feel lost or pressured to keep up with their peers, and it has a massive impact on their mental health and well-being.
So sit back, relax, grab a coffee or a tea or whatever you're feeling and enjoy today's episode.
Woo! So to start off, we're going to be getting into mental health and the search for your purpose. So today is all about mainly the question of what am I doing here in college, in life, just finding your purpose.
Mental health plays a really big part in our academic and our social lives and also our goals in the future. And so when our mental health is out of line or we're really struggling, that's when the rest of our life can seem out of balance.
Whenever you're struggling with mental health, it affects your abilities to focus on your goals in your future. Some things like trouble concentrating, I know that's a big one for me. Difficulty staying motivated, memory issues, poor decision-making abilities, also a big one that resonates with me. Your overall sense and self-efficiency can really set back how you look at life and just how you want to attack your goals. It can make you feel these goals are too big for me or things like that.
Yeah, I feel like I resonate a lot with the trouble concentrating and memory issues. I'm the type of person, I know we talked about a planner, going with the flow. I'm a go with the flow person, and I forget things because I don't write them down, and I should start doing that. And I have a bad memory, and I have trouble concentrating in class and just really locking in. Sometimes I'm just oh my gosh, I just don't want to be here. I want to go home. I want to be asleep. I want to be doing other things. So I always am thinking about other things instead of concentrating. I feel like that's a big one for me.
It's the first few weeks of school, you're so locked in, and then school keeps going, and you're I'm not locked in anymore.
Yeah. I feel like that's whenever the anxiety and the depression and the burnout starts catching up to you because you start off strong. Yeah. And then that's when I feel like it's so easy to fall out. Right?
Yeah.
You take one day off, I swear, from a normal routine. You're oh, okay, I usually take notes, finish this class's notes today, but I'm going to do that tomorrow. And then it throws off literally every other single day.
And then you just never do it.
Yeah, and then you never
do it, and you go again, and then everything starts piling up. And I feel like that is a major setback when all of that starts piling on because of your mental health. So that's why it's super important to take care of it.
Yeah.
For me, I have fluctuations in motivation.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm mentally not doing well, I feel like there are random bursts of oh, I want to go run a 5K right now, or I just feel so motivated, I want to finish all my school projects. And then there are times where I'm I just want to lay in my bed. I don't want to do anything. I'm tired. And I think that has a lot to do with my mental health, and sometimes it's not consistent. So some days are better than others, and I feel more motivated to go on runs or work out or do my schoolwork or hang out with friends some days rather than others. And I feel when I'm in a good place, I feel motivated.
Yeah.
Rather than I'm
for
in
sure.
a tough place.
Yeah, I feel like touching on that a lot, like staying motivated. Like, I feel like I've just been really busy these last couple of weeks. This week especially, like, I'm just, like, so drained. And I, like you said, like, I want to lay in my bed, but I don't have any time to. So I feel like that's, like, really making me struggle to stay motivated because I'm not motivated because I want to rest and I'm not able to. So it's just, like, I feel like I'm just dragging and dragging.
Mental health does play into not only your motivation in current times, but also just, like, your purpose now, which then falls into how your future lays out as well. Because it's trying to figure out your purpose is you having anxiety also about the future. It's kind of like, what am I doing in college? What is my major? What is a career that I want to pursue, you know, in the future? What am I doing right now that's going to affect the future? So all the mental health issues that one college student goes through does fully affect that because it is in the current time, which then make someone feel unmotivated or like they don't have a purpose because of what they're so focused on either right now, how they're feeling, and less about later, you know, and looking in the future and just focusing on the now instead of like looking for like the exciting things coming up in the future. They're freaking out so much about the future too.
Yeah.
I think there's like a good happy medium where it was like yesterday was yesterday, you know, tomorrow's another day, but at the same time it's good to have some sense of confidence and drive, you know, for the future. Obviously, yes, live in the moment, but I also feel like definitely still focus on your future because it's like building blocks. So it's like eventually what you do now does affect the future, so it's like slowly work up to it. You don't have to be stressing about what you're going to be, like where am I going to be in 10 years? Like it will lay out, like your plan will happen for you, let it kind of unfold from there.
Yeah, and I will say like kind of on the motivation aspects, like being able to change your mindset on what the future is and what's going to matter in 10 years. So I feel like prioritizing what's in your mind about what can really affect your future is what's really important. Like the little things that's not going to matter in like even a week. Like trying to get that out of your mind and like changing your mindset I think is really important on bettering your mental health. Yeah, so like kind of some strategies that we kind of touched on how to manage your mental health while working towards your personal and academic goals would be like therapy. Now that's a big one I want to start for myself. Self-care, really big on that. Creating a realistic timeline. Like I kind of said, make goals for yourself and don't be so hard on yourself on your timelines.
I'm a big advocate for talking to like your mom or your roommate or your friend.
Absolutely.
Somebody that you just trust, and don't restrict yourself to only inviting them into the good parts of your life, but allow them to be part of the tough parts too.
And being vulnerable with, you know, opening up to people and being vulnerable.
Don't keep it to yourself.
That also strengthens your relationship with them, but also it allows for accountability. In a couple weeks or I mean, even in a couple days, you can have that roommate just check up on you and be like, hey, like, how was that thing? Like, how are you doing? And just being able to, you know, have that before and then the after solution. And maybe it's still not going well, but you have someone on the sidelines, like, encouraging you on.
Yeah. That's why I do think, like, therapy and self-care are also good for, you know, when you're struggling to find your purpose, because it's almost like you're not feeling, like, enough or worthy and you're confused and lost. So I think it's really nice to talk to a professional to, you know, help you, like, deep dive into your brain to figure out why am I feeling like this, and maybe, like, help that root cause of the problem, but also self-care. Like we talked about last episode, taking care of yourself, taking care of your mental well-being while you're juggling all this stuff is super important, and loving yourself. Maybe that would also help your purpose, because if you're already feeling so low about yourself, and then on top of that, you're like, well, then what am I doing here? Like, what is this purpose? Why am I in college? I don't feel passionate about anything of, like, that I'm doing, that I'm learning. I don't want to be here, all this stuff. So it's just a domino effect, I think, of the negative feelings. So it's to the point where you really feel like even talking to friends and family wouldn't be beneficial, and you really do want to get out of the, like, rut that you're in. Therapy.
Yeah. I also think that you don't have to be in a rut to go to therapy. Like, I think that therapy can just be beneficial no matter what stage or walk of life that you're in right now. Talking to a mental health professional or just a professional in general, like, about your life and what you're going through can help you be successful in your mental health moving forward. Like, so, like, let's say you're good right now, but you know sometimes you do have, like, everything comes in waves. So now you already have a therapist so when that comes, and you already are good in your mental health. So, like, the challenges that come for you that maybe before you would handle negatively, now you're handling them positively.
Yeah. I also feel like whenever you're talking to, like, a therapist or something, it's just, like, easier because they don't actually know you. They just, like, are, like, learning about all these new characters in your life as far as, like, then if you would like want to go talk to your mom, then like your mom's like, whoa, blah blah blah, this person, this. You know what I mean?
To get kind of like an unbiased opinion.
Unbiased
from
opinion.
Someone.
Yeah, stuff like that. Because even like good or bad, sometimes there's like things that you just don't want to like blurt out. Stuff like that. So
your friends and your family do know you, so they do know like what you do, like how you are, all these things about you that can also help you whenever you're in those hard situations. But also like a therapist knows like the science. They don't, but they also know nothing too. So it's unbiased, but they also know the science and all that stuff. So like that background information, and they are like professionals in that way. They can go from an unbiased thing, like separate point of view from a different perspective.
They went to school for this, like they're trained in this, so they know the way your brain is working and why it's working that way. So I also think finding that perspective and like figuring out, okay, I'm overthinking a lot, but they're letting you know this is why you're overthinking. Because I know sometimes it's like, okay, I'm feeling all these emotions, but why am I feeling it? I don't know why I'm feeling it. So I think talking to a professional can really help get you out of your head in that aspect too.
Just don't stay in your head. I think the reason why we get into these ruts is because we're in our heads and we think and then we overthink. And then we're like, oh no, what do I do? What do I do? And so that idea of like talking to a professional, talking to somebody that you trust, that is going to be what helps you get out of your head, add some perspective, get other input versus what your brain keeps telling you.
Everyone's journey is different. I know like we're 4 very different people who just happen to come together to like film this podcast, but like we all struggle with different things. We all go about different things in different ways. And so everyone's experience is like very completely different. Just know that though everyone's going down different paths and we're all like doing different things and struggling in different ways, that like you're never alone and no one has anything figured out. None of us have everything figured out. You know, we don't know where we're going. We don't know what we're doing. So
and it's okay.
And that's fine.
It's completely okay. It might feel stressful and nerve-wracking to like not feel like you have everything figured out, but it's okay. And not everybody fully does. There's some aspect in everyone's life that they don't have figured out.
Leading into the differences between all of our journeys, I feel like it can be really hard to compare your journey to someone else's. Even though they're so different, we all desire the same timeline. I'm going to get married, this like idea of a 5-year plan.
Graduating college,
get a career, like I'm gonna live in a really nice house, like graduating college, all of these things. But
I know that we have touched on comparison in our very first episode where we talk about coming back to school and all of that transition and stuff, but in this way, when it comes to comparison and comparing yourself to others, I think it comes in the light of and a academic way. And what we're talking about, at least for now, like the purpose of why am I here in college. And so the social media, I think it's like LinkedIn and other, even on normal social media like TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, like seeing people be successful, like getting a job abroad, internships, and all this other stuff. I think that is a big issue for comparison because I think people see that and they're like, well,
Am I behind?
Am I behind? I'm not doing that. I don't have those opportunities. Like, oh my gosh, this person has had, especially on LinkedIn, you can see all their information and like all their achievements, which is wonderful. Like LinkedIn is such an amazing platform, but it's at the same time, like when you're struggling with your mental health, comparison, purpose, finding your worth, it can be hard because you're like, wow, this person has had so much experience. Like comparing yourself to someone in the same major and doing the same things, want the same ideal job as you, and you're like, wow, this person has 7 internships, 10 years of experience already at the age of 20. And I think it can get hard, and I think that is an issue, is seeing other people thrive, which is, it's okay, everyone's on their own journey, but I think that is also another root issue of comparison and like, okay, they found their purpose, where it appears they found their purpose.
It's like, holy crap, am I going to get a job after college? I don't know. I hope so.
I feel like something I'm struggling with right now is like, we need like an internship or study abroad to graduate. And so I'm like on an internship search, but I don't know if I want to study abroad. So I'm like seeing other people, I'm like, okay, well, people studied abroad last summer. Finding an internship or a study abroad, like weighing both of my options, but also feeling like I should have studied abroad last summer. So I had time to do an internship this summer. And it's like, if I do study abroad, then am I going to graduate with no internship? And like, is that going to affect me in the future? Like, I feel like that's something that's like going in my head a lot. Like, something I've learned is just like, you're on your own path. Everyone's path is different. A lot of people have been successful in the real world and not had an internship, and studying abroad is still a good, like, something good to have on your resume. So I think like changing your perspective and not comparing yourself and just like asking other people, asking professionals that I've been in the workforce, like met with someone from Shell, and they just let me know like kind of their path, even though I wasn't able to get the Shell internship, like just things like that, and like talking to people who have been through it and learning from them.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I struggle with too is truly being happy when I see other people thrive. I remember telling my friend like last year, I was like, I have a really hard time being happy for people that are doing well and doing the things that I want to do, and just kind of like it feels like they're moving forward in their lives. But this idea of like a timeline, there really isn't one. So when they get married, that's their thing, or when they get an internship, or when they get their dream career, like
for sure,
that's like their timeline, but that's not mine. So my mom got married when she was 20 and had her first kid when she was 23. I'm 21. And I'm not dating right now. And so it's like, you know, what's happening? Like, my mom already got married. I'm comparing myself to my mom in relationships that I know and I've been familiar with and I've grown up with. And just realizing that, like, my life is my life and I have my own timeline and it's not anybody else's. So same thing with internship, study abroad, summer plans, school.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be jealous. I think that it's like, honestly, it's okay to be jealous.
Yeah.
I don't think that you should like feel bad because you are feeling jealous of someone else's successes. But I think that
in a healthy
way to turn it and make it maybe a motivation.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and not so toxic jealousy where it like legit overrides you and you like are tunnel vision and you become
competitive.
Yeah, and you become like not a nice person with it. But I think if you're like, oh wow, man, I'm really jealous that she got to do this. And you're like, well, you know what? That like I love that for her, and now that's my goal.
Yeah.
You know, like
taking it and turning it,
but not like so much where you're like, wow, I'm gonna pray on her downfall for the rest of her life. Like I'm gonna make sure she never gets a job again or something. Like you know, so like you know, like you said, like and it's okay, and I think that it's awesome, and being able to admit that.
Yeah.
I know I do that a lot.
Yeah.
I always tell people. I feel like I'm always like, I'm so jealous of you. Or like, I hate you right now. And it's not like literal, but I'm like, I'll admit it.
That's Bella giving a compliment, right?
Yeah, literally. I'm like,
that's how she
I
gets
want to be you right now. And then another thing, touching back onto the internships and stuff, there's such a big issue right now, I feel like, that I've been seeing that it's like so hard. It's so competitive.
Yeah. It's hard to get one.
It's very hard to get one.
Whatever,
like, just give me a job.
Like in whatever industry, I swear, I've been hearing that there's like just so many struggles. Like everybody's applying for internships. Yeah. Everybody's doing this. Everybody's doing that. So I'm like, it's just becoming such a competitive place in all the industries. And I think that, I hope it just doesn't turn toxic. But I feel like people, annoying. You know, people have to have 10 years of experience.
Where are they finding these opportunities?
I know. Yeah, because all the opportunities are like, you need prior experience. But who's going to let me get the first experience?
Yeah.
I think it's like a trap. It's kind of like a loophole.
It is.
It's like you got to know somebody.
Networking.
Networking is really important.
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like I just look on Handshake. I'm like, okay, well, like 50,000 other people are looking at this job too.
Yeah,
so
everyone hates me.
It's humbling.
Yeah, it's very humbling. So I feel like kind of like I just went through an internship process and I made it to the final round. And I feel like celebrating that is like something that's like a big accomplishment. Like I may not have gotten the internship, but I made it to the final round. And some other people can't say that they could do that. So I also feel like celebrating the tiny wins. Like
through that too, like you learn so much.
Yeah.
So now you're like, well, next time I apply for an internship, I got it.
Yeah.
Like
now
I know what I'm doing. I know what to expect. Like from the good and the bad experiences, we can learn and we can grow from that too.
Yeah. The whole aspect of comparison, like Madison said, celebrate your small wins is such a good way to combat that. Giving yourself appreciation and self-love and showing yourself that you know you are enough and worthy and stuff, that helps the comparison because you won't feel like you need to be like somebody else. And successes look different for everybody, you know, personal growth, go on your own journey, go in your own way, everybody's is different.
Yeah.
Also with the fact that I feel like society always is just changing too. So now it's more acceptable, quote unquote. People aren't getting married as young. If anything, I keep seeing stuff on TikTok that they're like people bashing people for getting married so young now. Like now it's the opposite where it's like weird to get married young, and now it's like more normalized to get married in your late 20s and then have kids later. It's like when people start their lives so early, they're like shaming younger people for being in such like serious relationships and starting families, but everyone's success looks differently. If that's what they want to do, it's fine. It's almost like they don't think that like we're wise or like can make our own decisions. Everybody is on their own path. Their successes.
something that might be good for you is like not good for me.
Yeah.
But then something that's good for me might like be horrible for y'all. Like,
that might not work for you.
No.
Someone having an internship in oil and gas, that might not be something that's good for you.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like taking your wins and making them look bigger. Like, give yourself grace and give yourself that gratitude and like that you are doing good in your life too.
Bella, you talked about how people are judging other people. I guess not judging, but just saying like, oh, like it's almost frowned upon to get married young.
Yeah.
And, you know, put a hold on your career. I feel like comparison doesn't have to be like self-generative also. This idea of like other people bashing other people, it's making, you know, yourself aware of like, oh, like this person thinks this. Am I supposed to think that too? Mm-hmm. And so like, you know, just everyone is always wanting to say something about somebody these days. Mm-hmm. And like, we just need to like step away and be like, all right, that's what they said. That's not what I think.
Yeah.
Like, where do I stand? Where do, you know, if I have a therapist, like, let's talk that through. Maybe I need to talk to my mom or my friend or something. Get perspective versus what the internet says, because it's not always true. And
that's like,
people are hateful.
Yeah, that's like, I could be like, Bella, I love your shirt. And Madison's like, oh, I hate it.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what is Bella supposed to think about her shirt now?
Because P.S. I love it.
Yes, we love it. Oh, yeah, Madison thinks it's
I literally told her when
but
she got there, I said, you look so cute right now. And I like.
But yeah, timelines I feel like are super important. Like we mentioned before, creating a realistic timeline for yourself.
Personal.
This person wants to get married and has already had 10 internships and she's going to get married next year. Mm-hmm. But you
have never been in a relationship.
Have never been in a relationship.
Have never had an internship. Haven't done anything.
Okay. Why are you like pointing at me right now?
I've never had an internship, you know, and like all this other stuff. But it's fine because your timeline is different. It might be 10 years for you.
Yeah.
And who knows?
And
you might be enjoying life and doing other things. Exactly. And their success starts earlier. They see it as starting a family younger and doing this and doing that. The timelines, I think, are really important with comparison also. Staying in your own lane, you know, doing what you truly love. Just kind of like how we mentioned in the first episode. Focus on yourself. Do what makes you happy.
When I think about timelines, I don't find a lot of peace when I think about my timeline being different than what I want it to be sometimes. But I think a good thing that I've found when I'm feeling uneasy about timelines and maybe it looks different than what I have imagined is practicing gratitude.
Yeah.
And I love to write things down. I love to, you know, start my day just being like, thank you, like simple things like that I got out of bed today. Like I'm thankful that I'm able to go to a school and an institution that is going to give me a degree someday. And so like baby steps. Practicing gratitude ultimately has you approaching life from an idea of like, this is enough, this is sufficient versus like, I'm scarce, a scarcity mindset and thinking of all the things that we don't have.
Positives.
Yeah. Small wins like we touched on.
Okay, so we just talked about comparison and being content with where we're at, and each timeline is going to be different, and also the pressure of seeing other people thrive and just experiencing joy with that and peace. But now we are going to move into the stresses of feeling like you're not doing it right, this idea of like, oh, I don't like this major, I think I'm just not passionate about where I'm at in my life right now, and ultimately snowballing into like, oh, am I screwing up my future? Do I have to change my major? Oh my gosh, I'm going to be in college for more than 4 years, all of these things. So we're just going to jump right in.
I think that there is a pressure for students to pick a major
and stick with it.
Early.
I think it's also just not wanting to let yourself down.
Yeah. And you're
also
picking that when you're
others,
like 17, 18 years old.
Oh, yeah.
You don't
You're
know
like
what your life looks
fresh
like.
out of high school.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Munchkin.
what do you want to do? What do you want to major in? And you're like looking through like 50 million major options here, at least at the University of Oklahoma, and you're like,
what?
I don't know.
I don't even know what this is.
No, literally.
Yeah, what is this, the study of?
Yeah.
But there's so many options, and like, but sometimes it's also really hard to narrow down to one.
Right.
And I think that pressure and that stress impacts kind of like your purpose once you're here. And maybe even while you're coming to college, you're like, I don't know what I want to study. And let's start off by saying you don't have to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can change it.
You can change it.
You can
Bop
figure it out.
twist it.
Yeah.
Add one. That's what I did.
And also,
minus one.
Yeah.
you could get your degree and not do what you
Yes.
like studied in college for. Like, my dad, he was broadcasting, and he did, like, radio stations. But now he runs a company, an Estonian company, actually.
Yeah.
So, European. But he's a salesman. He's, like, the head salesman. He was just awarded this past year for being, like, the best
that's
employee.
awesome.
Yeah.
Which is really awesome, which is opposite of what he did. He didn't know anything about business. But, I mean, just, like, life is crazy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't just happen in college.
You don't have to narrow it down.
Right.
Your timeline varies.
Yeah, that's
and
what
your
it is.
path is curvy, not straight.
I think keeping that in mind.
I like it.
Curvy, not straight. Yeah. I feel like that's a good mindset to have. And, like, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. So I feel like just keeping the mindset that, like, your future is going to pave out the way it's supposed to. So don't put so much pressure on yourself to get things done and, like, find your major right away, even if it's something that you feel like you're not passionate about.
Yeah.
If you have to stay an extra semester or two because you found out you had a new passion when you were 20 years old versus 17 years old, like, that's an okay thing to change.
And don't force yourself to, like, do something that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like, choose for yourself. Nobody should have to choose for you. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the thing too. I know for like at least at me and Madison's high school, like you had to like pick a track already, and I was already stressing out about that. Like I was already
Whoa.
stressing out.
Oh,
like
boy.
so like
In
from
high school?
high school, yeah, there was like the STEM. Like that's why we took business classes.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're
Yeah.
That's insane.
yeah, so like already from high school we had
Absolutely
a whole automotive wing, the cosmetology wing, the agriculture wing. Like there was all this stuff, so I already felt like this pressure from high school.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was like, I'm gonna major in dance and I'm gonna go to California or New York, like to go to school. Like I'm going bye. Like
or you're going to major in fashion. And
yeah,
Yeah.
like I was literally like, I know I'm gonna do the arts, something creative, like that's what I love, passionate, blah blah blah. Then I ended up quitting, and then I was like, okay, hey, I actually don't know what I want to do. So I already had that crisis in high school, and then even then you get to college. So I just feel like that is still a hard pressure
Yeah.
to deal with, regardless of if you had to choose like us in high school or if it's after going. You already declare it when you apply.
Yeah.
It's like already applying. You're like, I don't even know what schools I want to apply to.
Yeah.
Rather, like, more or less what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were a whole different person from who you are when you apply for colleges in high school to who you are when you graduate.
Absolutely.
So that's why I think, like, picking a major that young can sometimes be so confusing because you're, like you said, when you were thinking of majors, you were dancing.
I was like,
You were
bye.
like-
I won't ever have to take a math class again.
Exactly. And then, like, life changes quickly, but you're growing and you're developing, like, you're becoming an adult, you're becoming a woman. Like, there's things changing.
Yes, woman.
Let me be a woman.
I just remember sitting in my class, my English class in middle school, and taking this test, and then getting all the results, and it was like really cool stuff at the beginning, like engineer.
Oh, like a
fashion
personality
designer.
test?
Mine
Yes.
told me to be an
Yes, we've done
education, like, a
yeah, like
teacher.
the
And I was like,
person-
no, I don't want
The
that.
further down you'd scroll, it'd be like janitor.
Yes, I do
driver.
remember that.
I remember
okay,
sitting
that's my
in middle
future.
school and thinking
Great.
like, that's all I'm gonna be. Like, this personality test tells me I'm gonna be a janitor someday. Like that is so hard and so depressing as a middle schooler. You're not even in high school yet, and you're thinking like, this is where my life is going. And you know, you're young, you have no idea like who you are yet, and
So they like try, but already it's so biased with a personality test. So obviously I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm
Right.
great at every single thing that I do. When you ask a 13-year-old in middle school. So then it's going to give you a personality test, and you're like, wow, I can be all these things. And, like,
Well,
even then, there's so many more options than what they get. They're like, lawyer, this and that. I'm like, every single
but it doesn't,
job goes
it doesn't know
deeper.
you. It doesn't
Yeah,
know,
it doesn't
like,
even know
because
what
anything.
you're
every-
passionate about.
Yeah. Every job it gave me, I was like, there's no way I'm ever doing any of
It's
that.
so just
Like, I don't
generalized.
want
Educator.
any. Yes, I was like, I can never be a teacher. I would just make my kids do bear crawls and push-ups. Like,
It's
it'd
just
be horrible.
It's so generalized too. So that's another issue, kind of going on with talking about last episode, like passion, self-care, things that you like to do, hobbies. Students get lost because they're not passionate about their major.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm a
Finance major.
finance major. Hey, I'm a geology major. I don't even like rocks. So
No
then I
offense
feel
to
like
any geology
yeah, no
majors out
offense.
there.
Sorry,
Yeah,
There's
I
no
took
offense.
that class. I give y'all props.
Yeah,
I took that. I
Yeah.
took that class.
I did too. But I feel like that is where the stress kind of starts. It starts
Yeah.
with you not liking the major
Yeah.
and the curriculum that you're learning, kind of the field, and then you're like,
You, like, resent
yeah,
it.
I'm gonna have a career in this. You know, your major does not mean you have to have a career in it. But in the moment when you're studying and you're
Yeah.
currently here at school getting a degree for something, you still plan and hope, okay, what I graduate out of, I can use my degree towards.
Yeah.
Right.
So that stress definitely comes into play. I started out as a finance major, and I was like, great, got to know money to make money. I love money. Then I would spend it, and I'm good at math. So I was like, great, boom, put 2 and 2 together. I took my first finance class sophomore year. I actually was like, what am I doing? I don't know anything about stocks. I don't know anything about investors. I'm not even passionate nor enjoy it anyways to like want to have the motivation to learn about it. It's not like can't wait to like go to class and learn. I was like, this is so boring for me. Yeah. Honestly, there wasn't even that much math in it. So I was like, wait, this is not what I thought it was going to be like. Yeah. And so then I was like, okay, but I'm just going to keep with it and do double major in ad marketing because I, said I need to have something creative, realized, I do want to go into marketing and still in the business, all this stuff. Then I just ended up fully dropping finance because I was like, this is not my passion. I'm not passionate about it.
You were still good at it, though. You helped me.
Still ended with an A because I, like, tried hard and study, but it was definitely not something I wanted to, like,
passionate about.
Pursue and, like, keep doing for, like, 2 more years after that. Yeah. So I know for me, like, then I ended up switching and fully did marketing. And now I'm digital marketing minor, and then I have an emphasis on advertising. Yeah. We're doing a little emphasis so that I can try it out, too. Because I'm like, what if I do, like, advertising and end up wanting to do that after college, take some of those classes and kind of test out and see. I think it is important to do something that you love.
I definitely thought in high school I was going to be an engineer. I really love physics. I just enjoyed the class. I thought, like...
You liked the way it clicked in your head. Like, you understood
Yes. Yes, I loved just
being
type
able to solve it.
Yes, there's always an answer. I remember touring OU, and I scheduled a tour to go see, like, the engineering quad and the buildings, and I just remember, like, walking through with my dad, and I, like, look over at him, and he's, like, super excited. You can see it in his eyes. Like, he's like, oh, my gosh, my child's gonna, be an engineer. This is so great. And I just, like, look at him, and I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I was more passionate about getting good grades, and that felt good. And
academic validation.
Yes, I associated that with physics. And so in high school, really good grades in physics, and I enjoyed the formulas and the math problems and just that side of my brain, but realized really quickly that I love to also design and be creative, and I can do that through graphic design, VisCom. Yeah. So choosing my passion, which is more being creative, using that side of my brain versus...
And you'll end up being so much more happier. Yeah. Because I was always like, I want to do something creative literally from the day I was born. Just need to be hands-on doing something. Yeah. For everyone, that's just is like, okay, well, I want to pursue this major because it's going to make me rich. Yeah. Oh, I want to be a doctor, so bio. I want to do this.
I want to be a doctor, lawyer. But I, will pass out if I get a shot.
Yeah. Like, what? So, all this other stuff, though, you're thinking more about that, the status, the money, the outcome versus your own happiness. Yeah. Even if you are a doctor, and even after 8 years of med school, are you going to truly be happy in that field? Yeah. You might be making bank and could travel the world and buy all this designer expensive stuff, but
you hate it. You hate
what you do. Yeah. And no materialistic thing can truly make you happy versus getting a job in something maybe more creative or just a different major or industry that is not as well paying as another industry, but you enjoy going to work. You enjoy what you do. That's what my parents have always told me. They were like, you just need to do something that you truly love. That's their main advice, but at least it gave me clarity to know that I am sticking with something I do like and enjoy, and it can always change, but for right now I do feel comfortable.
There's no such thing as a perfect major either.
Oh, yeah.
Because you could totally be capable of being a doctor. Anyone who works hard enough and cares that much, it will be a great doctor. But I guess the difference between a great doctor and an awesome doctor, I guess, is the passion that goes into that too. Because you could have everything, you could qualify. But if you're not passionate about that, then what's the point?
Yeah.
So.
I will say that, I kind of had a similar path. So I came in studying supply chain, and I was kind of like, okay, this is going to make me money, but is it something I really want to do? Because, I know for Price specifically, it takes a while to actually get in those major classes. So I took my first supply chain class this summer. So, I was, I didn't know what supply chain really was class-wise. So before I even took my first supply chain class, I decided to double major in marketing. So I was, doing something I'm passionate about, but also something that can make me money. So I'm, having the best of both worlds where I'm able to decide now I really like supply chain now that I'm into it. But I think being able to test out the waters I think is really cool too.
Having that self-reflection, realizing what you're passionate about. Even talking to your academic advisors. They're really helpful. I know I talked to my girl in Gaylord, and she was so nice. I actually loved her. She literally was like, well, whatever makes you happy. If you just want to do a little emphasis, take some classes, I'll be more than happy to override it, and it's just so you can test out the waters and take the classes that you want to take. And I was like, yes, Slay Queen, thank you. So talking to your academic advisor to see that, and along with having those as your free elective, maybe some classes, there's so many random electives that you can add in that maybe you just try even just to turn it into a hobby.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, I like, maybe you're a marketing major and you do like rocks, so you just want to take classes with rocks. Like, go for it, and see that use those extracurriculars and try out internships to kind of like give you a sense of what you do like.
Yeah.
Or maybe where you feel like you fit in too. It doesn't necessarily have to be your passion, but what feels comfortable for you and that makes you feel like you have found your purpose.
Yeah. Change might not always be necessary. At times, yes. So I know for my personal story, I knew I was going to study Viscom going into actual college, but before then I had no idea. I was really not at peace with declaring a major before I got to college, so I spent my first year just kind of testing out the water, seeing what I wanted, just getting a feel for college.
And everyone has to do their gen eds anyways.
Yes,
I'm sure
I had to
every
get them all out of the way.
Yeah, so kind of have some time to like think as well too.
And I didn't realize that there was one random week in February where you had to apply for Viscom. It was 1 week of interviews, so that's all. And it wasn't advertised very well because it's super competitive, and I missed it. And I just remember getting mad at myself in a way, but then also realizing like I have 5 years of college now, and I get to enjoy that.
Yeah.
And it was just really awesome to get to experience college. And I'm technically a senior, but I graduate next year. So just kind of realizing like now I get to actually enjoy college. I get to enjoy my major. I get to experience college life.
And do what you want to do.
And do what I want to do. There's no shame in being a super senior. So
ultimately it is, from our personal journeys and stuff, it is very common to want to switch your major, to feel like you aren't in the right one. Like, I think I've talked to more people that have switched or wanted to or don't feel like they're in their correct major versus people that are like have actually stuck from day one, no doubt, nothing. It is so common, so don't feel alone or feel like it's only happening to you if you feel like you don't necessarily know what you want to do. And like Lily had said earlier from her dad, you can go do whatever you want anyways. It's kind of like Elle Woods in Legally Blonde. She's like, what? Like, it's hard to get into like law school because like technically you can just take the LSAT. You don't have to actually have, it helps to have like, be in like political science or whatever, but I think you just have to pass that. People do support you here. It might feel like you're like, well, my advisor, or I'm going to be such a pain in the ass to like texting them and wanting to change, but ultimately, and everybody does it. That's their job, and you're also still figuring out life, and that's your job as a student. You're learning, you're growing, you're figuring out what you want to do and what you want to pursue.
There's no right or wrong way to do college.
Yeah. Fab.
Just to recap real quick, managing mental health, finding ways to cope with when our mental health is out of balance, and resisting comparison, which can be so easy to do. Finding contentment in where we are in our own timelines, and dealing with uncertainty about our major or our career path, taking little steps at a time, and being comfortable with challenges and change as well. And finding our passions too. Like, this is college. Like, we're still figuring ourselves out. And we probably will until our frontal lobe develops fully.
So true. The recap is, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah. What are we doing?
Ultimately, what is our purpose? And we each all have different ones. Everybody here at the University of Oklahoma has different ones.
Everyone in the world.
Your parents, your family, your friends, everyone has a different purpose. I went to church with my best friend in Tulsa, and the pastor, he was saying, like, a career is a job that you get paid to do, and a calling is something you were made to do. So kind of like it. How we talked about, you can go for something like that, but it was like really resonated with me because already, like, I dropped out of my finance major 2 days before this semester started. So I was like, okay, I really got to get my shit together. Like, it's all over the place, but it just gives you, like, you hear that and you're like, wow, like, your calling, like, your purpose in life, like, you are so much more than your grades, than your major, than that. But like, your career is ultimately still something you can make fun and, still have it be a passion, but like, your calling is what you were put on this earth to do. Was I here to help others? Do I have to be a doctor to do surgery and help others? No, but maybe I help others by volunteering, doing that. Like, I think that speaks so much more than your degree. So even if you don't know what the hell you're doing here, then maybe just find your calling and your purpose and work around it.
And know that you're not alone.
Yeah,
because like so many people, everyone's experiencing like the exact same things that we're going through, that you're going through, that like anyone's going through. Your mom's probably experienced, your dad's probably like,
they're probably still going through it.
They're probably still going through it. It's their first time living too.
Yeah.
It is.
Giving yourself grace and knowing that other people are going through that too and you're not alone, I think it's really important to changing your mindset and being able to sit and be okay with those negative things that come towards your life.
Yeah, especially here at the 405 Diaries.
Yeah.
You are never alone. And we always want to make this a safe space for y'all to reach out to us, talk to us, listen, resonate with us, maybe not have anything relatable with us at all, but, you know,
or
share your own so that maybe we can just hear. But in general, this is why we're here and doing this, because we all are passionate about mental health and these little aspects in college that I feel like people don't really talk about and really get too vulnerable with. They kind of ignore and push to the side, use poor coping mechanisms with. So share your stories. Yeah, share your stories with us and
be your big sisters.
Yeah. In the 405 Diaries, we are all fam.
We are all fam.
We could still be your big sisters, but y'all could be older than us. Like, just like giving advice all together.
Or we need big sisters. I don't know.
Yeah. So we've kind of mentioned in other episodes numbers, but also in our bio we have resources. We have OU resources, but I'm sure every university has their own mental health resources. We have just hotlines and things like that in our bio that you can check out there and just get connected in ways that you feel like you need help mentally.
In our next episode, we'll be talking about breaking the stigma of mental health and while being a college student, featuring a special guest, Mindy Windles, a licensed professional counselor here at the University of Oklahoma Counseling Center.
Yay! So we're super excited to bring her on via Zoom, but
tune in.
Talk to her. And like we have mentioned before, we are not professionals. We are just
girls living life.
Little 20-year-olds here.
We're here doing it with you. We're going through the same experiences.
We've just done a little more self-reflecting. Yeah. And we're just sharing the self-reflection. Yeah. But at the end of the day, there's still so much that we have to grow and learn on as well.
Right. So like, comment, share.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, subscribe to us on YouTube.
Link in bio on Instagram.
Link in bio, follow our Spotify. On Spotify and YouTube, that's where you can find this podcast and listen in, repost.
Smack that bell so you'll never miss a new video.
DM.
Yeah, comment. We want to see what y'all have to say and like your experiences too. So make sure you're commenting your experience.
Right. Our personal
you could DM
our
me.
Personal Instagrams are listed in those in the Instagram bio of the 405 Diaries. Yeah, reach out to us there.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Being part of our community.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Love y'all. Bye.
See you next time.